and welcome to my YouTube channel, Crackle on the Beat, with myself, Vicky. I'm a music journalist and radio presenter that just loves obsessing and addressing all things music. So if that's your kind of thing, then hit subscribe, like, share, and all that jazz. And we'll get into it. Now, just a quick disclaimer, as you've probably seen from some of my previous videos, I can't always get the rights to every single song or album that I am talking about. It very much depends on the artist and whether I can get in touch with them or not. And even if I can't get in touch with them, I will always drop a link in the description of where you can listen to the song, so you know you can get fully immersed into what I'm talking about. Let's get started. So today I am going to be unpacking the brand new track Everybody Scream by none other than the English singer-songwriter Florence and the Machine. And I am so excited to unpack this one. So today I am going to be unpacking the brand new track called Everybody Scream by English singer-songwriter none other than Florence and the Machine. And I absolutely love Florence. I am such a huge fan, so I'm really excited to unpack this one. Witchy vibes. So this is the title track to her brand new album, which is set to drop on the spooky witchy date of October 31st of this year. This particular track, however, was released on the 20th of August this year, so it's still pretty new, but I thought this would be a perfect time to review the song prior to her album release, which is coming up very soon, this spooky season. She is also set to go on her Everybody Scream tour early next year. The song video for the track also dropped on the very same day of the song as well, which is important to know. And the track itself is very quintessentially Florence, following themes of mysticism, witchcraft, mythology, womanhood, aging and death. So for quite some time now, Florence's music has definitely falls into the ballpark of music that magnetically draws me in. I didn't listen to her as much or as deeply or as appreciatively in the earlier years of her music, yet still very much enjoyed her style and her aesthetic and her musical standpoint in general. It wasn't until she dropped her 5th studio album, Dance Fever, in May 2022, when I really fell in love with her. This is that particular album. The folksy indie pop rock singer absolutely blew me away with her rawness, chaos and authenticity in this album. To me, this came across as her sort of coming of age album. It felt like to me that this album onwards is where she really knew exactly what she wanted to say, and she did so in the most existential way possible. As for Everybody Scream, this track sonically, poetically and aesthetically feels like it's kind of going in the same sort of direction, except this time it feels even a little darker, a little witchier and perhaps even a little more gothic. You know, when I think of Florence and when I hear Florence's powerful and floral vocal, and I just see her authentic style as well, it really just screams ethereal queen, goddess to me. She openly and very generously touches upon themes of divine femininity combined with a very strong masculine female power and dominance. You know, she really expresses how the two experiences of womanhood go hand in hand, and how there cannot be a soft feminine experience without having to endure sort of the hard path to get to it. You know, she really talks about, well, not just so much directly as such, but you know, she does sort of touch upon ideas that I believe are about how independence in womanhood is never truly respected, and how a woman should be seen to be quiet, soft, submissive, coined with the complex urges to stand up, scream, shout, argue, and take the lead, and, you know, and shout it loudly too. And the track Everybody Scream is a perfect example of that, as it very much is stated in the title. These themes are particularly evident in sort of the lyrical standpoint that she puts across in this song. For example, with the lyric, "Here I don't have to be quiet, here I don't have to be kind, extraordinary, normal, all at the same time." You know, as I've stated, it is a really integral part to look at Florence's lyrics a little deeper, as she is very deeply poetical, metaphorical, and very driven by the power in her words. And that is what I think makes Florence an incredible artist and a relatable sort of woman's woman, and not just a mystical sort of fairy tale witchy mother as we may sort of artistically perceive her to be. The very sort of mystical, mysterious, and otherworldly artist can really be direct and metaphorical almost immediately in unison, which I think is incredibly talented. And, you know, just bearing that point in mind, we can really again pick this up through some of her other lyrics. For example, when she says, "I run myself ragged with blood on the stage, and how can I leave you when you're screaming my name?" Now, of course, Florence herself may have her own motives behind this lyric, but, you know, as a music reviewer with my expertise and analysing in music combined with my research into her music and life, Florence stated that she decided to give up, or at least delay, her plans to settle down and start a family in the intention to return back to the stage, back to music, and continue writing and performing. And I think this lyric in particular really opens that up very clearly. So if we break this down just a little further, she really expresses how exhausting it is, you know, with ragged, blood on the stage. But it sort of has this magnetism drawing her back in, like she can never really leave. Like music will always be her first love beyond anything else, you know. How can I leave you when you're screaming my name? You know, it's very direct, very you don't really need to read between the lines with this one. It is very obvious what she's trying to say, one way or other. So knowing this and hearing the lyrics, as well as knowing what she stands for, embodies everything that we know her for: femininity, the push and pull between becoming a mother and, you know, being a soft, kind caregiver, and, you know, the breeder of children perhaps, and combined with being a strong, loud, authentic artist with no ties, no expectations, and with a raw ability to create music without, you know, giving into the pressures of what a woman should be in our current society. You know, she has a very sort of old soul about her within her music, even if it is, you know, being dropped in 2025. There's a real authentic sort of old fashioned beauty within, you know, she really embodies, encapsulates, and oozes everything that modern feminism is all about. You know, and there is a little bit of a juxtaposition here with sort of the way she presents herself, the way she comes across, and sort of the things that she talks about in her music, you know. And even though there is all of this strong masculine quality, she aesthetically looks and sounds so beautifully feminine, with floaty dresses, flowers, ultra feminine vocals, yet powerful and punchy, natural and earthy and godly, all at the same time. It's incredible. Everybody Scream is a powerful and unique display, which I believe is going to, you know, absolutely set the tone for this album that is about to drop. There really are some punchy and heavy beats in this song. It gives a kind of almost like a gothic coven vibe, almost, sort of. It does seem very similar to Dance Fever, her 2022 album Dance Fever in essence, but a little darker and a little more pronounced. I kind of see it as like the slightly like darker shade of grey between the two albums, like the yin and the yang almost. I haven't heard the whole album yet, but based on the songs that I have heard, that is what I kind of take from it. The video is extremely unhinged, artistic, theatrical, beautiful, mysterious, yet loud and almost cult-like at the same time. I do feel like Florence fans are definitely part of some kind of cult. Perhaps. One thing that Florence has always been really, really good at is, you know, combining so many moods in one space that you don't really know where to start. And if I try and break down what I mean by that, it's almost the idea that you can feel overwhelmed, sad, weak, powerful, feminine, strong, enlightened, and enraged, all just in one song, let alone the whole album, which is something that, you know, does make Florence so incredibly sort of divine and special, raw and talented within her artistry. Florence is really elevating in her style and her sound the older she gets, and her life experiences talk, or should I say scream, louder than ever. I guess if I was going to look at any sort of pitfalls, the only pitfalls that I could point out is that the themes of sort of mysticism, witchcraft, and the complex emotions can feel very, very heavy. She can run the risk of perhaps being a little too abstract, or that the imagery could possibly overshadow substance, just from a potential differing point of view to sort of outside listeners that may only be listening to her music for the first time. I, however, absolutely love her music, and I love her depth, and I love her poetical stance and her sort of multi-layered imagery. But like, as I said, I can imagine for people who are new listeners that this might be a particularly sort of overwhelming place to start. But nonetheless, she produces some incredible and uniquely original art that is hard to mimic and extremely hard to manufacture. She really is one of a kind, and she really does sort of she really does take her own route with everything that she does. So there we have it, Florence and the Machine, Everybody Scream. That's a wrap. What did you think of the song? Are you looking forward to the album as well? Let me know in the comments, and let me know what you want me to review next as well. I always love to know what you guys want to hear. I love to hear it. Until next time, peace.